Hey everybody, Doa and Monty here for I believe the first ever kind of casted battle report for Immortal Gates of Pyre. Remember, this is all pre-alpha, so things are subject to change, all that. There might be bugs and shenanigans, but that's all the fun of making a game. Of course, I am Doa. I am here with my longtime casting partner in crime, not real crime, just kind of the cool crime you talk about when you're trying to sound cool. It's Monty
Cyber
Cristo.
crime.
That's cyber crime. You wouldn't steal a car, would you? How you doing?
Yeah, that's right. Good. I'm excited to get into this battle report.
Me too. We have Team Fire versus Team Ice. So we'll see who wins. We haven't watched this yet. We're going into it cold. We're gonna try to remember as many unit names as we can. Of course, things are changing. We've been doing play testing, so we've seen things change over the last few months or so. And it's neat to see, right? Because you've got the regular units that you might expect in your average RTS, but you also have Immortals as well, which is a choice you make before the game begins that affects a couple units available to you during the game, and also some global abilities as well. So we'll be able to kind of call out those and see how those affect the battle. And that's kind of one thing that makes the game a little bit on the unique side if you're coming from sort of a Blizzard RTS background, is that, sure, I guess you had the heroes in Warcraft 3, but they were little things you controlled on the map, whereas this is more you are the immortal in this particular case.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
I want to get into the game.
Me too. Let's do it. And here we are, Monty. You can see Team Fire versus Team Ice.
Who's your prediction? Team Fire or Team Ice?
It's tough. I gotta go Ice just because of Azubu / CJ Frost being the better of the Fire and Ice combo back in the day.
It depends.
For the most part. Depends on the era.
I mean, yeah, it depends on the era. I'm gonna go with Fire because Flame was a big baller.
All right.
And I like Blaze. But as you can see here, it's a team game.
Yeah.
And you spawn next to each other.
It's battle strategy. We're battling strategically.
You can see they're creeping right now, which is killing these neutral minions, dragging them over to the tower so that they can get Pyre, which is what you use to use your immortal abilities.
Wow, and check this out. This is something I haven't seen before in some of the other games. You can actually steal some of the neutral minions away, but, it's all about being on the place where the Pyre is once the neutral minions are dead, right? Because that's where you go to pick up the Pyre. Now, we should explain, Pyre is what fuels your Immortals' global abilities. So you want to collect that, as well as the mineral and gas type resources in the game. Because if you don't have those, Monty, you can't make anything.
Yeah, that's right. It is a 2-resource game, so they have alloy as the central resource. Mm-hmm. And what's the gas resource called?
It's ether.
Ether, that's right,
Yeah.
ether.
That's right.
And then also these towers are citadels. You start with a couple, but they are also summonable on the triangle spots on the map. Mm-hmm. And that allows you to have hard points in defensible positions.
Yeah, it's actually really cool to gather a little bit of Pyre early on to fuel your ability to build those towers, and then go out and build some on your opponent's side of the map. Putting them on the third base location can be really annoying. You can see red here already expanding to what's kind of the usual second or third for that. Usually orange and red expand towards the right side from the top. And wow, an early attack on the tower actually from the Sipari of Team Ice. Now, wow, this is really aggressive actually. Okay, interesting. I wonder if this is actually enough to kill the tower. I guess they're playing Orzum and they're going to get a little bit of help there, but this is super aggro.
Yeah, it's really aggro. And you can see the difference. So there's Zapari and Zentari.
Yeah.
So they're two different units, but they're the same unit that had been modified by the Immortal that each player is playing. So some of the units end up being slightly different. The Zentari have swords and the Zapari have the spears.
The Zapari also are really cool because you can actually line them up 2 ranks deep, and their attack range is enough so that everyone can hit. So there's some neat sort of movement shenanigans you can do with Zapari specifically, which I really enjoy. They're a little bit less tanky, but you can kind of get a little bit more damage in if you're careful. More Pyre collecting going on for the teams here.
Yeah, interesting to deny that base so early on. It's very successful from Team Ice. Your prediction looking a little prescient here, Della.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it depends on how the early aggression ends up being. You can see a couple of the Zephyrs coming out early on as well. Those are bipedal kind of walking units that have sort of the bow and arrow shooting ability. They've got a short range teleport ability as well. And those are good. You can outrange the melee, you can push back this aggression, so it looks like for now Team Fire has managed to stabilize a little bit, which is good because you need to keep the expansions rolling in this game.
They are very good in kind of the basic ranged unit that Karoth, this faction, has.
He stole that. All right,
Oh.
Pyre steal from Team Fire. This is something you could do if you're sneaky. You can watch your opponent to try to take the Pyre, and then you can jump onto it at the last moment and steal it and say, hey, thanks for doing all the hard work. Thanks for spending your HP to give me a resource for my Immortal to cast abilities. And so this is why I was a little bit worried about the aggression from Team Ice early on, Monty, because once those Zephyrs start coming out, the Sipari and the Zentari get really kind of outclassed, right? It isn't until later in the game, if you build a big mass of them, then they could sort of come back. So right now, the map is like all Team Fires.
Yeah, you can see too. So some other units are coming out now. Those ones that are spinning are the dervishes. They're really good at like worker harassment. And there's an ability coming down right now, creating hallowed ground. Providing buffs for Team Fire there. So that's an immortal ability, and you can see them blinking back the Zephyrs one by one.
Yeah, I believe you get some shield regeneration when you're standing in that area. So fighting on that is definitely where you want to be. And you don't exactly want to be toe-to-toe with the melee units here. You want to use your range to kite a little bit. But standing in that hollowed ground is giving Team Fire the advantage. And Monty, like, I know this game just began, but I'm already kind of wondering if it's even possible for Team Ice to come back in this. It's going to take a pretty colossal mistake, I think, for Team Fire to give control of the map back over.
Yeah, the thing about this game, though, is that you can rebuild your forces very quickly.
True.
Because you oftentimes have a lot of production buildings, because that also increases your supply, so you have to build a lot. Yep. And production buildings can usually build multiple units. Each one can build multiple units at the same time, so it's pretty easy to remax.
Yeah, but that Acropolis going down is a big problem for Team Ice. That's your Town Hall style building in this game. That's what you need to sort of get the resource generation going. And the main bases are going to start to be mined out soon. Whoa, we got a throne, actually, for Team Ice already on the board.
Yeah.
That's a really fast tech up to thrones. And thrones are strong, but they are kind of vulnerable to blink in from the Zephyrs if you're not careful. And this is just not enough melee to keep that throne safe. You can see it can't even really be part of the fight right now.
Yeah, it did shoot its abilities. It can fire all of those swords that are floating around it at once. Wow, it's not being microed. Ooh. There's also a Hallower that was just getting focused there. They're long-range siege units, slow firing, but they shoot kind of a beam down from the heavens and do a large amount of AoE damage.
Those do get annoying for sure. We also see Team Fire continuing to expand here. Meanwhile, over on Team Ice's side, you can see some of those moats just kind of standing around, not a lot to do with only one base. And if you look at the map right now, I believe both of the players on Team Ice are only on one base at the moment. So resources are definitely getting stretched very thin right now for this side of the map. And you can see just like the control over Pyre. You can't really turtle as much in this game because you got to control that Pyre resource as well. Another coordinated flank here from Team Fire, and continuing to kind of whittle away at the army of Ice.
Yeah, just mass Zephyrs here. They've got a Hallower, however, now in the back too. You can see that beam coming down, doing a lot of damage.
Yep.
To this Citadel. It's going to get knocked down here, and that'll be one fewer line of defense for Team Ice.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, this mass Zephyr can be very difficult to deal with. That said, a lot of those Zephyrs are kind of wounded right now. And so with this little group of Zephyrs coming out now from Ice, it looks like they can push back. And, maybe, you invest into things like Hollowers, but you're maybe a little bit over-aggressive with your Zephyrs early on. And those Hollowers are not going to be able to go toe-to-toe the same way. They can't blink away, as you can see. Lost one already. That's a big investment that you need to protect. So, now Team Fire starting to be a little bit on the back foot, honestly.
Yep, and do see more Hallowers coming out. I really like those units, especially if you have a strong front line to defend them. And also some Zephyrs. Those are, again, very good they're very fast and can get into worker lines, and they kind of do an AoE cleave attack at melee. So they're super good at killing enemy workers that are mining that alloy.
Check this out. All right.
Or there's going to spin around in the middle of a bunch of Zakari.
All right. Well, looks like a bit of melee action from Team
Built
Ice.
a tower.
They did, yeah. And I mean, this is what I'm talking about. You can be sneaky. I'm actually shocked that the tower actually got up. That's hilarious because this is just kind of showing that Team Fire is maybe being a little bit too ham on the aggression right now and not paying attention to their own home base. That's awkward. This is awkward when a tower gets built right outside your third, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's okay. There's so many Hallowers at this point in time, though, that easily
Yeah.
able to dispense with it outside of the Citadel range.
Oh, can they get it?
They're gonna,
Oh,
they're
no,
gonna try
not
and
quite.
delay that Citadel from being built, but won't happen. Won't happen.
Yeah. I mean, so I would say a couple little missteps from Team Fire here, but still in a much better position economically. The thing is, though, with Team Ice already being up to a throne tech, I wonder if they're going to be able to come back if they're able to get a couple more bases rolling, get the resources, get the ether and the alloy they need to build a lot of those. Because if you get a good amount of thrones and a good front line in front of it, that can kind of tear through a lot of armies in the game right now.
Indeed, and we're gonna keep seeing them. Ooh, they're gonna do. Looks like we're gonna have a double attack here from Team Fire.
Yeah.
On two different flanks down at the bottom of the screen. They've really kept Team Ice bottled up in their base. Still no additional expansions. I mean, Team Ice is just gonna starve out of resources here eventually.
Yeah, I think so. You have the luxury of being able to overexpand a little bit, right? If you've got the economy to back it up. Oh no, and they found a little bit of a hidden base here for the Teal team. Sad.
The secret expansion. There's
Yep.
also an upgraded Citadel, which if you have enough Pyre, with Orzum, the Immortal, you can actually upgrade one of those Citadels to make it even stronger.
Right.
So that's sitting in front of the Team Ice home base right now. That is the last bastion, I think, of any kind of resource production here.
Wow.
We're going to see a little bit of a counterattack. It's going to crush this Team Fire army, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. The damage has definitely already been done.
Yep. Ice is back with a brand new addition in terms of this extra army that they didn't have a moment ago. Able to clean this up a little bit, but like I said, need the econ. You know, especially if you fast tech to something like an Angelarium, which we see you need to get the thrones out. Blue is able to sit by their upgraded turret. You mentioned this earlier. This is a benefit that the Orzum players get specifically. Gives you a little bit more of a defensive hardpoint. But I'm kind of just waiting for some of those Zephyrs to blink up into Blue's base and try to take out some of the production buildings. So we didn't mention this earlier. In Immortal, the production buildings give you army cap rather than having that be a separate building you have to construct, which I love. It's so great that that's kind of rolled in with just what you would want to build normally.
Yeah, it's much better. I mean,
Yeah.
supply buildings are always have been kind of awkward in RTSs. You know, not exactly ideal. And ooh, look, we have another throne coming out now to beat back this attack on the base.
Yeah, but that's pretty good.
Ooh.
The Acropolis did go
Acropolis.
down there. Yeah, that's right. So now Orange down to one base. It's really all in red to try to buoy up his teammates' forces here. But meanwhile, that's a big attack from Blue. And now with those two thrones there, you can see the Hollowers in the back starting to fall pretty aggressively. And Blue making a bit of a comeback. But again, they need to establish those new bases. It looks like they're finally starting to do this. Seems like some of the
there's
town
one-
halls aren't showing up on the mini-map that we can see sometimes. So there might be a couple out there that we don't know about, too.
Yeah, it looks like the Acropolis still isn't complete yet. Meanwhile, there's another Acropolis here for Orange. Red has two other mining bases right now. So Team Fire still going to be doing just fine. That Citadel was built a long time ago. It's just been sitting there, finally going to get cleared out. Thrones being built by Team Fire right now. I saw a Castigator as well. Oh, there it is, up at the top of the screen. It's a four-legged unit that is anti-air. So they started to build those Team Fire so that they can deal with the thrones that are being built by Team Ice.
Yeah, that's interesting. In a lot of my games, you don't end up seeing Castigators come out. You just don't see the game get to this point. We just saw an Absolver on the screen for just a moment. That's a unit that can kind of plant itself and siege up and then start to fire very quickly, do a lot of extra damage. It has a big ring, so I like to call it Ring Fit.
Ring Fit, of course. And we also have Magi here, the infantry that they can deploy hallowed ground themselves. You deploy them in a location. They're not going to be used for that right now, though. They're just going to die, in fact, before they get used to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Pillar comes down. I believe that was for Blue Team. No, they may be shooting that. Okay, yeah. And now Team Fire trying to survive with their own thrones. It's a pretty epic battle here, but the Concave certainly favoring Team Fire right now. I think Ice might be in a little bit of trouble still.
Well, it's suitable, Doa, that in the Song of Fire and Ice, it would turn into a Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Wow, that was a perfect ending. Oh my gosh, you are a professional commentator, are you? Victory for Team Fire. What a game. All right, so there we have it. We saw that last game. That was a pretty insane ending. I mean, Team Fire kind of had the edge the entire time in the economy department, but that was a pretty epic last battle, wasn't it?
I appreciated that Team Ice found a way to at least make it interesting before they got completely choked out on resources there. But the Remax and bringing in more thrones in the end was pretty great. I was sad we didn't get to see more Absolvers, which are units that I really like. The Karoth actually have a pretty robust lineup of units. So a bunch of units we didn't see at all, and just that one Absolver for just a short period of time. But I really like how they can plant themselves and fire really fast, gives you a lot of like good zone control, which I think is a very cool mechanic.
Yeah, we're really kind of seeing the development of sort of the playstyle of Karoth kind of emerge over time, because it's currently the most finished of the races or the factions in the game. People are starting to figure it out. They know that Zephyr early game, mid game is very strong, and then Thrones are a strong thing to transition into late. But like you said, there's a lot of units in there that have very more niche uses that people aren't using as much. You see the dervishes sometimes harassing worker lines or taking out some melee stuff. You mentioned Absolvers as a great hard point. Magi help with that too. So it'll be neat to see over time people start to more fully play the faction. That'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So fun game to watch. There are more factions being added constantly. What's interesting about Immortal Gates of Pyre is that the developers think that they can support, a dozen plus different factions in the game, which also are customizable based on the Immortal that you select. So really good options and variants that you can get in this game. One of the reasons why we're pretty pumped for it.
Yeah, for sure. A lot to look forward to. That's going to do it for our battle report from Doa and Monty here in our respective houses, I guess. Thanks for watching. We're going to have a lot more of this coming for you soon. See you next time.